I'm Ashton Addison from Blockwest Capital for Investment Pitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Sean Stapley, partner at Penrose Partners. Sean, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Ashton, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise, let's dive straight into it. Penrose has been working in the blockchain space for quite a while. You guys are great curators of events and community-based events as well. And I've been following and worked with people at Penrose. I know you guys are doing some really great stuff. And I know that in the near future here, we have the International Tech Summit that Penrose is helping host in Bermuda. And that's what I want to focus this discussion around. I would love for you to kick it off by just talking a little bit about Penrose and about the International Tech Summit and what makes it so great and why did you guys decide to put it on?
Great questions. Thanks for having me, man. And really for us, to start things off, Penrose Partners has been around for quite a few years in the space now. Myself and my co-founders met while working at previous firms. So we've all been working in the space for quite a few years. For us, really, it's about education, it's about adoption, and it's about finding the right partners for long-term growth of the ecosystem. And really for us, that's, doing, as you mentioned, building communities, finding the right people, bringing everyone together, and often breaking down, what are some of the common myths about the space so we can focus on actually building the future. But, what part of this and what we're excited about to be presenting, here in beautiful Bermuda, is the third annual International Tech Summit. And really for us, this is, the summit, the goal really is to bring together leaders, the builders, and enthusiasts from around the world and to explore the latest breakthroughs that we've seen, both in digital assets, in blockchain technology, and in innovation as a whole. And so, as I mentioned, the conference really is to bring together both for those that are attending in person and flying to the island, but also for those around the world that are hoping to tune in virtually. And so we're going to be kicking off on March 7th, going through the full week. We have an education day in partnership with the Bermuda Government that will be launched on March 8th, a Tuesday, where we'll be presenting everything from Blockchain 101, how to get involved in the industry, some of our education partners, and being able to work with different hackathon groups as well. But then the real main event that we're kicking off is going to be March 9th, and that's our full conference day. And so that's really as, looking at our third year running, we're working in partnership, as I mentioned, with the Bermuda Government, with the Canadian Consulate of New York. But we're also proud to say that this year we have our sponsors Algorand, which many of your listeners will be familiar with, but also with 3iQ Corp, who's the Canadian investment manager that launched the world's first publicly traded Bitcoin fund. And so for us, I think a big change for us is really wanting to dive into what are some of the most pressing issues here. But really throughout the day, we're going to be having a bunch of different panels, bringing in our partners and speakers from around the world, and just to dive into, what is blockchain all about? How can we bring this together? And what comes next? But after the Wednesday, and we can dive a little bit into some of the topics, we'll be doing as well a climate and sustainability day on the Thursday of the week, March 10th. And so that'll be diving a little bit more into regional climate goals, some of the ways that we're doing carbon neutral chains, but also looking to explore where is the overlap between things like renewable energy and blockchain. And finally, we're wrapping the week up as well, doing a pitch contest on the Friday, where we're letting startups from around the world pitch to a panel of investors and judges to really show them what they've got and why they should be the next big thing. So happy to dive in really anywhere, but we're stoked to be doing this for the third year running. Penrose has been doing this for quite a few years here, and each year it just gets bigger and better.
Incredible, Sean. Thank you for that intro. And yeah, a lot to cover there. Some very interesting guests and attendees and sponsors of the show that have been on the show, that you mentioned there. Algorand, we've spoken to, a great project that I have huge hopes for, and 3iQ as well, making great strides in Canada to get more access for traditional investors to exposure to digital assets and Bitcoin. And you mentioned there the Bermudian Government and the Canadian Consulate. I feel like these guests are going to make the event super special. I feel like it's going to be a different kind of event than you would normally see at like Bitcoin Miami or something like that, where people are there to maybe more degens talking about NFTs and like degenerate DeFi, early stage projects. So how do you think the guests and the sponsors that you have at this event is going to sort of cater the discussion? I know you mentioned, climate and the and like hackathons and pitch contests. I think that's all great, but there's so many topics to cover, even in a week or half a week of full day conferences with these special guests. What do you think are sort of the main talking points that these parties are going to want to make sure that they cover at the International Tech Summit?
Of course. And really for us, we've got a full list of topics you can view on our website, internationaltechsummit.com. But really for us, we wanted to talk about some of the most pressing areas. And, everyone's had different ideas of what's important. But really for us, that comes down to a couple of different parts. First and foremost, we really want to focus on digital adoption, really trying to understand, what comes next. And when we see, waves of retail getting involved, we're seeing discussions around last year, obviously with El Salvador launching their Bitcoin network, being able to include different national governments and institutions. We're finally seeing this wave of involvement from people that traditionally have looked at the space and seen it as perhaps some of those kids playing around with their magic internet money. And now we're seeing this as a full-scale growth of the ecosystem around the world. We're seeing adoption from everyone from kids getting involved with Bitcoin in the early days and developing their own decentralized apps, all the way to institutions that are actually buying into and getting Bitcoin and Ethereum on their treasuries. But we also want to look at things like decentralized finance, how people are keeping their crypto safe, looking a bit at the custody angle, but also from us, it's understanding what comes next. And I think for us, we also want to dive a little bit in, and this is where we actually have one of our panels that will be led by Barry Finkelstein from Algorand itself. And so we want to dive into from a perspective of privacy, identity, and payments, and what happens, with everyone always talking about Bitcoin being completely open and transparent. There's some questions that come up around the privacy angle and what your identity means in a decentralized world. So there's a lot of different topics like this that we do want to talk about. But of course, one of the big themes that we always want to bring it back to as well is sustainability. How can this technology be applied to combat climate change? How can we address some of the common myths around Bitcoin's energy usage? But how also can we talk around getting more people involved? And that's really also a big part of it, is just saying, if you are interested, if you want to get involved, if you have an inkling that this might be something that drives you and you're passionate about, how can you get up and running? And for us, it'll be introducing a lot of our in-person attendees to different partners that may end up hiring them, but also it'll be providing resources out to the world and really to be able to give an easy way of saying from blockchain 0 to hero, what comes next? And so for us, I think a lot of it's just, discussing these topics, getting the conversations going, and seeing what comes next for the world.
Great point, Sean. And I like that you mentioned the digital identity there. I think that's really important, and sometimes people forget about that. And I know, governments around the world are looking at that and considering, is this right? When is this right? How do we integrate this and make our technology and our government more innovative? And you mentioned working with the Bermuda government in Bermuda with the conference, and also the Canadian Consulate as well, which is super interesting. I'm curious if there's any more insights into, why Bermuda? I feel like it's quite far away from Canada, but it probably plays an important role. Maybe you can touch a little bit on that.
It does, and for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, I'm actually Bermudian. Spent about 10 years living up in Canada now, so it's good to be a citizen of both places. But really for us, Bermuda makes an awful lot of sense because they've positioned themselves to be the premier blockchain jurisdiction of the world. For us, the international business community here has been thriving for about 50 or so years. There's a massive insurance presence here, and the talent that you can run into from walking from here down to our local coffee shop is incredible. And really for us, that coincides really nicely with Premier Bert's vision of a digital currency standard, and to look at how essentially Bermuda can position itself to bring in companies from around the world. We've seen some of the ones around that have set themselves up here include Circle, the stablecoin issuer responsible for USDC. We've had Bittrex, a leading global exchange. And more recently, we've seen BlockFi position themselves as a Bermudian institution because of the way that they recognize this as a jurisdiction that is able to have conversations between regulators, governments, and the builders in order to find what's the best way to meet in the middle and look at this as an innovation, not a danger to the world. And so for us, Bermuda's really been the place to be, both because we've had amazing support from the government and from the private sector, but also because of the fact that as a place for international companies to set up, both large enterprises like the ones I mentioned, and for digital asset startups, this is the place to be. I'm calling in today as well from Intl Fund Incubator, one of our partners here that we're working with in order to help drive digital asset businesses to the island and be able to provide them essentially a landing pad for all fintech firms. And for us, it's all of these things come together to say Bermuda's the place to be, not only because of the amazing weather that we have here year round, but also just because from a business perspective, from the regulatory perspective, and also just from the talent that you can find here, it really is the perfect place to set yourself up.
Incredible, Sean. I did not know that Circle, Bittrex, and some of these large crypto companies are already there in Bermuda, and that really there's something there. I think a lot of the crypto companies and startups that are watching the show should definitely consider learning more about that. And there's definitely something to that. And I know you mentioned at the beginning, you don't actually have to go to the conference to see the talks and to interact. It's also possible to attend virtually to learn more. And you mentioned the schedules on the website. So are you interested in anybody to come and attend virtually and interact, or are you looking specifically for these crypto companies and people that are interested in their Bermudian area?
It really can be anyone. If you're interested in blockchain, the conference is for you. And frankly, even if you're a little bit skeptical, if you're not certain about if this is the future or not, it's also the place to be. We are not just one of the ones that are going to hype up this as the magic sauce, the magic solution to everything. I think for us, we look at blockchain and the associated technologies as a tool that can be applied to many industries. There's reasons that the insurance industry is looking into this. International business is interested in blockchain. And it's not just from the financial perspective. And so really from us, we're hoping to bring to light the opportunities that do exist, not only for those that are working in the financial space, but also for anyone that's looking to dip their toes into the industry, to meet potential partners, to meet potential employers, but also for us really to be able to bring together different viewpoints from around the world. And as you said, a lot of this will be virtual, so many of our speakers will be tuning in from around the world because they may not be able to physically be here. But to give you an idea of some of the ones we're excited to hear from, we do have Premier Bert of Bermuda that will be speaking with us. He'll be speaking as well, not only with Hawar Nassim from the Canadian Consulate, but also we'll be doing a fireside chat with Steve Kokinos, the CEO of Algorand, which will actually be moderated by Mike McGlone from Bloomberg. And so among them, we also do have Fred Pye of 3IQ, but we're also excited to hear from different partners of ours around the world, like Sandra Rowe, who's the CEO of the Global Business Blockchain Council, and Garrick Heilman, who's the head of research at blockchain.com. And so for us, we've assembled, a variety of voices that are, very pro blockchain, but being able to bring in different perspectives, which I think is really the part that we want to focus on is, everyone always focuses, it's a good day when the number goes up and you see Bitcoin rising. But for us, we're talking about long-term adoption. And that's why we've chosen the partners we have. That's why we've positioned ourselves here. And it's why we see ourselves doing so for many years to come.
Very well said, Sean. And for the people that are interested in attending virtually and putting it in their calendar to make sure they don't miss the talks, what is the best way for them to get involved there?
Absolutely. The best place to be is internationaltechsummit.com, and you'll be able to find all of the information about the conference, the registration links, and also access to all of our partners and other resources that might be of use just to get a little bit more knowledgeable about what's being built here and how you can get involved.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sean. I will leave the website link for the virtual attendance in the description box below. All the best with the conference coming up very soon here and with everything surrounding it. It really does sound like a great experience. And thank you for coming on the show. All the best with everything at Penrose, and let's follow up in the near future.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, Ashton.